I drove aimlessly through the night, my emotions as erratic as my playlist. One moment, I was cursing vehemently to Cardi B. The next, I was sobbing over Vivian Green's emotional roller coaster. My mind felt foggy, like I was in the passenger seat of my own life. I ended up at the beach. The waves crashed against the jagged rocks as if seeking protection from the wind. I walked along the sand, letting the water wash my feet and wash away my sadness. The waves called to me, an eerie allure to the end of my suffering, and I inched closer, the cold surf licking at my toes, until a tenderoni notification broke my trance. It's a match. I pulled out my phone and saw two of the most gorgeous chocolate faces I had ever seen. Both men sported natural loose locks and had healthy beards. Kwasi's dark brown, narrow eyes reminded me of Donovan's, but Kwasi looked much more mature, mysterious, and troublesome. This contrasted with Michael's big, carefree smile, which made him seem warm and inviting, like an open book. Make no mistake, both men were extremely handsome, and this made me realize I didn't have to choose one just yet. But curious, I confirmed both matches. Kwasi messaged me right away, but I hesitated. My heart waged war with my morals. Angel, you're still married. What are you doing? If you do this, you're no different than Donovan. How do you explain this to your children? No, no, this is not who you are. You file for divorce first, then live your life. But I didn't need to feel guilty for choosing to step out after my husband had done it the entire marriage. Just then, my phone lit up. Michael. He wanted to move to text. He'd been polite and attentive, safe. But the truth was, I wasn't feeling Michael the way I was feeling Kwasi. I couldn't explain it. Kwasi and I only talked about sex. Dirty, delicious, unfiltered sex. But there was something about how he wielded words, like he was brushing his fingers across the skin of my mind, coaxing every suppressed desire out of hiding. The crashing waves jolted me out of my trance. The beach had always been my sanctuary, my escape when life pressed too hard on my chest. The salt air and the distant hum of the ocean gave me space to think. And lately, I'd been thinking about Monterey. My 5-year plan was almost up, and after Donovan's latest betrayal, disappearing didn't feel like running. It felt like healing. My phone buzzed again. Michael, asking me out for drinks. I hesitated, then shrugged it off. Why not? We met at a cozy bar just outside of San Francisco. Brick fireplace, soft lighting, a jazz trio playing live. It had the vibes of a romantic film. When Michael saw me, he smiled like I was a gift he hadn't expected. You clean up nice, he said, handing me a delicate pink rose. So do you, I smiled, catching the scent of cedar and something smooth, like whiskey and warm cologne. Very Hill Harper tonight. He laughed. Only if Hill Harper were a dad of 3 with plantar fasciitis. I giggled, and we sank into an easy rhythm over cocktails. We talked about his kids, the books he was reading, and then he mentioned his late wife. She had this annoying habit of singing while doing the dishes. Off key, every time. I used to hate it. Now, I give anything to hear it again. I didn't realize I was crying until he reached across the table and gently wiped a tear from my cheek. Sorry, I whispered. Don't be. You feel things deeply. That's a strength, not a flaw. Later, we danced slowly, led by the music and his gentle guidance. I felt safe in his arms, seen, protected. I landed home just in time to miss Donovan. The moment my bra was off, I texted Kwasi, "What you doing?" He started typing, but stopped. So I called him. Straight to voicemail. Just as I laid my head on my pillow, he FaceTimed me. "Hello," I said politely. "Wake your ass up," he said aggressively. "I called you like an hour ago." I sat up and just looked at him. There was a look in his eyes that said he expected me to invite him over. Harmony and Huxley were at my mom and dad's. Donovan was at work. Why couldn't I have company? I sent him the address, and he showed up 20 minutes later, smelling like Hennessy. He got handsy as soon as he walked in the door, grabbing me and saying things only he could get away with saying to me. His cold hands woke up my nipples, and it pushed me to strip off my robe and take care of business. When we were done, he got up in a rush, threw on his clothes, and headed out the door. I was sure I would never hear from him again, but he called me the next night. This time, we met at his place. Surprisingly, we actually talked before getting down to business, and even after. I was sort of hooked. We started meeting every other night, and I forgot all about Michael. It was more than just sex. We talked for hours, curled up in his sheets, skin still warm from each other. Sometimes about nothing. TV shows, childhood memories, the music we both swore got us through shit. Other times, we just shared enough to feel seen, but never enough to be vulnerable. It was like we both feared cracking the surface might drown us. I never said I missed him when he wasn't around, but I did. I missed the weight of his arm draped across me like he owned the space. I missed the way his eyes softened when I walked into a room, and when he'd press his forehead to mine after we kissed, like he didn't want to let go. I missed that most. He never said he cared, but he showed up every time. With his cologne that lingered on my skin for days, with those long stares that said way more than any "I love you" ever could. We weren't in love, not out loud anyway, but it was there, heavy, unspoken, always hovering. And it was starting to feel dangerous, not because it was wrong, but because it felt right, in a way that scared the hell out of me. Like clockwork, Kwasi called, 3 a.m, like he had for the last 4 weeks. "Let's go for a ride," he said, voice rough, almost impatient. "In the car or the bed?" I teased, knowing our pattern. He chuckled, that low rasp that always made my stomach tighten. "Why not both?" I rolled my eyes and smiled, already slipping into that silk-tight dress he hated to see me in. Hated because it meant other people probably saw me in it too. I tossed my curls, glossed my lips, and met him outside. His cherry red old school with cream leather seats looked like something out of a movie. It growled at the curb like it had something to prove. Every time the engine roared, my body hummed in response. "You like it?" he asked, eyes never really leaving me as I slid into the passenger seat. I caught his subtle once over and smirked. "I love it. This car says a lot about you." "Oh yeah? What's it say?" he asked, eyebrows raised like he knew I was about to throw shade. "That you know how to take care of things you love." I gave him a pointed look. His jaw flexed. His eyes flicked towards me like I touched something deeper than I should have. "So you think you know me now?" "No, but I'm observant." He scoffed. "You're annoying." Still showed up though. I grinned. "Yeah, well, even lions need to play with their prey sometimes." I laughed and shook my head, but the truth was, this was the game we played. Always testing boundaries, always pulling and pushing. We were flying down the freeway now. Wind in my hair, the city lights blurring like something out of a dream. The silence between us wasn't awkward. It was charged. This is different, I finally said, expecting him to explain the sudden switch up from our usual sweat-stained meetings to late-night joyrides under the stars. Just when you think you know me, I gotta change it up. Keep shit fresh. I'll keep that in mind. Don't ever get too comfortable with me, he warned. That gave me pause. There he went again, slipping a knife into something tender. But he was quiet after that, and I could tell he had a lot on his mind. I decided to let it slide. We ended up parked on a cliff, the bay stretching out below us like a glittering secret. The city looked quiet from up here, smaller, softer. A shooting star sliced through the sky just as he leaned in, grabbed my face with those rough, calloused hands, and kissed me. Not like he was trying to conquer me this time, but like he needed to know I was real. What was that? I asked, breathless. Someone once told me a kiss under a shooting star brings good luck. Oh, so you're trying to get lucky? I teased. Already am. His voice softened, but something shifted behind his eyes, something heavy. And suddenly, he wasn't teasing anymore. What is it? I asked gently. Today was rough. Not work, just life. I could see him folding into himself, like a man who didn't know how to ask for comfort, a man who thought silence was strength. My heart pinched. I laid my hand over his and leaned on his shoulder. My dad used to get on me about bringing the bad stuff home. He'd wait at the door and instruct me to take it off. He chuckled faintly. Take what off? Everything that weighs you down. He exhaled, then stepped out of the car, making a dramatic show of pulling off his hoodie and tossing it into the air. Go, he said. Just for now, I whispered. We talked until dawn. About everything. About nothing. He opened up about his twin daughters, his ex-wife, his new role as partner at a firm in San Francisco. He didn't give me all of him, but he gave me pieces. And every time he shut down, I gently nudged him open again. It was draining, but somehow it was worth it. When he dropped me off, his fingers lingered on the steering wheel, like he wasn't ready to drive away, like leaving meant going back to who he was when I wasn't around. I don't think I ever enjoyed a woman's company like that before, he murmured. It won't be the last time if you keep dealing with me, I whispered, brushing a kiss on his cheek. That look he gave me, raw, unreadable, followed me into the house. But the next morning, no text, no call, nothing. I kept busy, let the days pass like they didn't itch under my skin, but the silence gnawed at me. And after a week, I had to face it. He ghosted me. So I slid back into Michael's messages. He welcomed me warmly, never once asking where I'd been, and that made me feel even worse. He invited me out again, this time to a rooftop bar. The view was stunning, the wine perfect, and he made me laugh, really laugh. I was nervous you weren't feeling me. I looked at him, really looked. Kind eyes, strong hands, safe, and for a moment, I wished I was feeling him the way I was feeling someone else. Walking into the office that Monday, I was not ready for the universe's joke. There he was, Kwasi, laughing with my dad. I choked on my coffee. My dad gave me a curious look. Angel, come meet my old friend. Kwasi, this is my daughter. I blinked, fake smiled. Nice to meet you. He didn't flinch, didn't blink, just stared, cool and unreadable. I gotta get back to work, I said with a tight smile, my tone syrupy with sarcasm. Inside my office, I cursed him in every language I knew. Then I saw the email. Subject, boo, ghost emoji. The body said, "You look like you saw a ghost." I stared at it, took a deep breath, and clicked delete. If I replied to that fool, it would not be office appropriate. "I got an angel on my line," he answered in that deep, raspy, seductive voice. Kwasi always knew how to get under my skin with just a few words. "I need you to grow up," I said. "Guess you can't take a joke." "You asked me why I was single that night, and the answer is men like you." My voice turned cold. "According to your dad, you're not single." "Is that why you ghosted me?" I asked. Silence. "That's fine. I have a very plush life. You were just an ant in a coliseum of bulls." "This ant had you pulsating at the sound of my voice." There it was. That cocky confidence that made my thighs tighten. Goodbye. I hung up on him. Later that night, he crept into my office and sat across from me, trying to catch my attention. I was deep in my work and barely acknowledged him. "Angel," he whispered with that thick Bay Area accent and sultry tone. I tilted my head up, unimpressed. "I want an apology." "For what?" His head snapped back, ghosting me. I slid my phone across the desk to the last text thread where he coldly left me on read. "No," he said boldly. "Excuse me?" The tension in the room was so thick it clung to the walls like fog. Kwasi stood in front of my desk with that smug, arrogant grin he wore like armor, chin tilted up just enough to look down on me. I could see the vein twitching in his temple, his fist clenched at his sides, but still trying to look unbothered. "You're spoiled," he said, voice sharp like broken glass. "You want everything your way. You're married. You can't get mad at me for ghosting you, brat." I blinked slowly, heart pounding. "Oh, you're jealous I had a dad to spoil me." I tilted my head, my voice honey slick and taunting. His jaw tightened and his face flushed crimson. Bullseye. "How dare you?" he spat at me, stepping closer. His breath was hot, his tone venomous. "When I walked into your office, I saw all those pictures of your mom, but none of your dad. So, a man like you would be jealous of a spoiled brat who had a dad, a present dad, a great dad. Now you're trying to humble me." I leaned in, and my eyes locked on his. "But you really could learn a thing or two from me." "Never," he growled, practically shaking with rage now. He had the look of someone who just realized he'd lost control of the room and couldn't stand it. I could feel the power shift. It turned me reckless. "I could teach you how to be a man," I whispered, slow and deliberate, twisting the knife. "Since you didn't get that lesson." Kwasi's eyes burned. His nostrils flared. He looked like he wanted to punch a hole through the wall, or maybe just scream. Either way, I had his full attention, and it was ugly. "Women like you deserve to be alone." His voice dropped to a growl, deep and sharp. Without thinking, I grabbed the nearest pin and launched it at him. It bounced off his shoulder and clattered to the floor. "Get out of my office." He didn't flinch. Instead, he grinned like a wolf who had just smelled blood. He loved to see me agitated. "Make me." I walked around the desk, fury rising in my throat like a scream. I reached for his arm, ready to drag him out myself if I had to. We must have been louder than I thought, because just then my father appeared in the doorway. his brow furrowed, concern radiating off of him like heat. "Everything okay in here?" he asked, eyes darting between us. I straightened up, smoothed the front of my blouse, and gave Kwasi the coldest, most composed smile I could manage. "I think he's lost," I said smoothly. "Can you show him to his office?" Kwasi's jaw twitched, but he said nothing. "Of course," my dad replied, stepping aside and gesturing toward the hallway. Kwasi brushed past me without another word, but I could feel the heat of his glare against my skin. Good. Let him burn. I'd had enough of smooth liars. If he thought I was easy prey, he had another thing coming. This curvy Barbie came equipped with verbal daggers. Really, I could only handle one narcissist at a time. I'd apologize later, but right now, he needed to know how it felt to be left wondering. Surprisingly, later that night, I got a text from Kwasi. "Let's take a ride." Simple, straightforward, like he was doing me a favor. Even though I had a mountain of work to do, my body betrayed me before my brain could say no. I stared at the message for a second longer than I should have, then pushed my laptop away. I threw on a tight black outfit, the one with the low back and the cinched waist he once said made me look like sin and salvation. I pulled my hair into a slick ponytail, dabbed gloss on my lips, and let the night swallow the part of me that knew better. He picked me up in his silver Audi. The music was playing low. Snow Allegra's voice bleeding through the speakers like the calm before the storm. We didn't speak at first. We just rode. The air was thick. I rolled the window down and let the breeze hit my face, hoping it would clear my head. It didn't. Finally, Kwasi spoke. "So what the fuck was that earlier?" I swallowed, keeping my eyes straight ahead. "You mean when you walked out like a toddler in timeout?" He chuckled, but it wasn't real. It was sharp. "Nah, I mean when you disrespected me." I turned to face him slowly. "You mean when I finally matched your energy?" Kwasi gripped the steering wheel tighter. His jaw clenched. "You always gotta be difficult. Always pushing people away and acting like you some goddamn victim." "Victim?" "You gaslight me, talk down to me, make everything my fault, and I'm the victim? Or do you just hate being held accountable?" "You just like all the rest," he muttered. "All mouth, no substance." "And you're just like Donovan," I snapped, my voice raising without my permission. "Smooth, charming, emotionally unavailable, and controlling as hell." Kwasi hit the brakes hard, pulling over on the side of the road. The tires screeched against the gravel. He turned toward me, his eyes dark and unblinking. "Don't you ever compare me to that weak-ass nigga." "I didn't compare you. I identified you." The silence that followed was frightening. Not loud like earlier. This was a silence that waited to explode. Kwasi leaned in closer. "You think you're so damn smart. You're so evolved. But you're broken, Angel. That's why you keep choosing men like me." "I chose me this time," I whispered, the truth settling on my chest like a brick. "I wanted to believe you were different. But this is Donovan all over again, with a longer beard and a better playlist." Kwasi scuffed. "You think you're better than everybody." "No, I hoped you were better. That's the problem." He leaned back in his seat, shaking his head. "You ungrateful as hell. I've been there for you. I put up with all your baggage, your daddy issues, little breakdowns. I stayed." "You didn't stay, Kwasi. You lingered," I said, trying not to scream. "You stayed long enough to make sure I was cracked open, but not long enough to care what fell out." His hand slammed against the dashboard. I flinched. "See? That, right there. Always acting like I'm some kind of threat." "You are. To my peace, my self-worth, you everything I promised myself I'd never settle for again." Another chuckle. "I ain't even tripping off this. I'm just here for the sex. Keep the dramatics to a minimum." "Thanks for the reminder, you fucking narcissist." "No problem, drama queen." Let me out. I'll walk home. But he didn't let me out. And we ended up at his place. When we got there, the rain was still tapping against the window pane. When Kwasi pushed me up against the cool glass, his breath got hot against my neck. My thighs were wrapped around him, one heel clinging desperately to his belt loop. His mouth was rough, biting at my collarbone like he was punishing me for every time I pushed him away. And I let him. I let him take out all his anger, all his bruised ego on my skin. His hands were all over me, controlling, claiming, trembling slightly with rage and lust. It was always like this with us. Ugly words first, then hands that couldn't stay off each other. Passionate, violent, addictive. Say it, he growled into my ear, grinding against me. No, I whispered, teasing him, watching his control slip away. He shoved my panties aside and entered me in one fierce thrust that made my head hit the glass. A gasp, a gasp escaped my lips, but I didn't stop him. I wanted this. I needed it. His rhythm was punishing, like he was trying to erase every word I'd ever said that cut him too deep. You don't own me, I hissed through gritted teeth, even as my body betrayed me and melted into his. You say that, he moaned into my mouth, but you always come back. And he wasn't wrong. That's what pissed me off. We collapsed onto the couch, tangled in the aftermath. Our breaths were heavy, the silence thick. Then, like always, it started. You know what? I sat up, pulling the blanket over me. You treat me like shit, Kwasi. Please, he scoffed. You like it. You like being tossed around, choked a little, degraded just enough to feel desirable. I turned slowly, eyes narrowed. You really have issues. You confuse my affection for you for weakness. And you confuse having a man for having worth, he snapped. Having a husband defines you. And without a man, you empty, Angel. I blinked at him. That one stung. He leaned forward, smug again. We talk all that shit about Donovan being toxic, but let's be real. You chose him, just like you keep choosing me. I shook my head, voice trembling. You should know. You're just like him. You punish any woman who dare fall in love with a fool like you. Because I can, he said plainly, not even bothering to soften it. And because you let me. The air in the room changed. I felt the final thread snap. I stood up slowly, gathering my clothes. Not anymore. He leaned back, watching me with closed eyes. You're not gonna leave. You never do. I laughed. I will this time. Kwasi opened his mouth to speak, but I held my hand up. Don't text, don't call, don't show up. You're weak, he muttered. Your fault. Maybe, I said, walking to the door. But I'd rather be weak alone than in the arms of a man like you. 3 weeks later, the silence was louder than ever. I missed him. God help me. I missed him. Not because he was good to me, but because dysfunction feels like home when it's what you're used to. And tonight I cracked. I stared at the phone for damn near 20 minutes before I pressed call. He answered on the first ring. Well, 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 Kwasi said low and smug. Look who finally remembered how to dial a number. My stomach turned. Hi, I said quietly. He laughed, like I was a joke. Nah, don't be shy now, Angel. What you want? I've been thinking about you. Oh, now you thinking about me. Wasn't thinking about me when you left me on red for 3 weeks? Huh? Kwasi, I missed you. Silence. Do you? Yes. He sighed, but it wasn't tired. It was theatrical. A performance meant to make me feel like a burden. So what? You missed me. And now I'm supposed to what? Come running? Say, I missed you too, baby. You left. You always leave when things get real. Then crawl back like a scared little girl. I got scared when you started acting like my mentally abusive husband, as I should. I checked you. There's a difference. You ain't used to a man holding you accountable. That's your problem. You think everything is abuse just because it don't feel like a damn fairy tale. You called me stupid, repeatedly. I call it like I see it. You ignored me for days after we argued. You watched me break down and said I was too sensitive. You are too sensitive. Damn, Angel. You gonna cry now too? Be for real. Why are you being like this? I whispered. Because people like you need to be reminded you not all that. You walk around acting like you so strong, so independent, till you lonely. And you calling me, talking about, I miss you. Nah, you miss the way I made you feel. You're sick, I said. He chuckled. You just not figuring that out? I paused because that laugh, it sounded proud, like he wanted me to hurt. Like every time he picked at my wounds, he felt more like a man. I needed love, Kwasi. You needed control. He didn't say anything, so I kept going. I thought I was missing you, but I think I was just missing the idea of being loved, even if it was fake, even if it was ugly. Still silence. I won't call again. I promised, my voice steady now. I'm done begging you to be decent. You don't love me. You love power. And I'm not your victim. Not anymore. Click. I hung up, blocked his number, deleted every message, every picture. And then I sobbed so hard I couldn't breathe. Not because I missed him, but because I was finally letting go of the fantasy that he could ever be anything more than a reminder of everything I had survived. You're probably wondering where Donovan has been since I found out about his affair 4 months ago. We're still married on paper, but my heart signed out long before Kwasi or Michael entered that picture. That month, we barely saw each other. Our schedules were packed, and God must have known I needed distance. I loved that man endlessly. Donovan was the only man I ever loved besides my daddy. Finding out he had a mistress for 8 years shattered me. Realizing they were planning our anniversary together while sharing nasty texts behind my back, that broke me. I don't know if love comes from the head or the heart, but whatever part of me gave love, it's broken. Can we talk, babe? Donovan asked last week. I mumbled something about getting the kids ready and rushed into the kitchen. Harmony and Huxley were already at the counter. My babies, I said, kissing their foreheads. Thank God for them. They were the perfect excuse to avoid him. Harmony, are we still doing matching pajamas with the girls? Donovan lingered in the corner, eyeing me. He was usually gone by now. Clearly, he'd taken the day off so we could talk. My stomach tightened. 45 minutes passed, and the kids ran out yelling, We have rides! Love you! My heart sank. Any other morning, they'd beg me to take them, but not today. Today, they conveniently had rides. I stayed by the door, waving and shouting last-minute reminders just to keep Donovan from getting close. He crept up behind me. Angel, why are you ignoring me? He grabbed both my hands and looked into my eyes. Ignoring you? I laughed coldly, pulling away. I went to the couch and cranked the TV up. We're still husband and wife. We need to talk. He grabbed the remote and shut the TV off. I sighed, rubbing my scalp. Not for long, I whispered. Angel, babe, no, you don't want to talk. You want to convince me that I didn't see what I saw. Some of those messages were out of context. Jokes, even. Shut the fuck up. I stood, fist clenched. One more lie and I'd swing. You're great at lying, Donovan. Damn near professional. I just wish you were as good at loving me. My face burned and a tear escaped. One turned to many. I guess Mike, and Queasy know how to love you better than the man who loved you for 10 years. His smug face pushed me over the edge. I smirked. This nigga was ridiculous. Mispronouncing their names on purpose, despite having a whole side chick for nearly a decade. It's Kwasi and Michael. And they're the last people you should be worried about. I just met them. You, on the other hand, have been creeping for years. I wonder what your dad would think about you screwing your coworker, the one who just happens to be his mentee. That's not his business. What if I made it his business? A knock on the door. My heart skipped. My husband walked to the door slowly, as if to extend the suspense that gripped my heart in this moment. I told you he liked to play dirty.